Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, aka BGFH, and I'm back for another channel update video, as well as talking about a couple of recent gaming announcements. So, diving right into it here, channel update. Things are going really well. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Illegally Cited. I release videos every Wednesday and Saturday. I try to basically keep those days. I release videos for sure on those days. And, for a holiday or if there's some really cool announcement or something relating to game accessibility or technology or just something really, an event that happened, I may do a video, an extra video or so another day during the week. One of the other ideas that I've been toying with, I've had a couple of other things happen where I did different content, but I'm actually toying with the idea of doing a sort of Mixer Monday sort of a thing where for the past couple of months or a few months, I've actually been doing pretty regularly Mixer streams as I'm just deciding, you know what, I'm going to play a game this weekend. And so Friday or Saturday or both or, whenever. But usually on weekends, I do a Mixer stream. You can go to mixer.com/BGFH. Follow me there. It'll let you know when I go live. I also let you guys know on Twitter at BGFH79 shortly before I do go live. And this is kind of more like straight up gameplay. I'm not going to walk someone through like, oh, here's the interface. I'm going to show you the stats screen. I'm going to show you the menus. I'm going to explain the game mechanics. No, largely this is just me, in the mood to play something, and we're just going to play it. And maybe we're going to explore a new title. Maybe we're going to go back to a classic game. Maybe we're going to keep playing a game that I've kind of been obsessing over recently. That's kind of been my thing for Rico, which is this unexpected. It's not going to win really any awards per se, but the game is, it's just got that right level of fun to it that I've kind of been hooked on it the last 3 weeks or so. So much so that I haven't actually gotten around to trying one or two major game releases that have come out. So I do own Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Now, I did that video, a week or so ago on game accessibility versus or game difficulty. And because that's been a huge topic on Twitter and social media and YouTube and wherever. But mainstream press is talking about it. Game video, podcast, everybody seems to be talking about it in some fashion. And, be it good or bad, you've got some haters, you've got some supporters. I'm not going to go into the detail here, but go ahead and watch that video if you want to check that out, because there are some, interesting thoughts on both sides of the coin. But if anything, what it's doing is it's actually just bringing to the attention more. You get a lot more people thinking about game accessibility, be it difficulty settings or just options or customizations or anything like that. You're bringing that level of attention to a pretty dang wide audience, because I've seen it covered pretty much any podcast or website or video. Everybody's talking about it. So, in a way, that's really a good thing. So, but yeah, so there's been that. But yeah, so like I said, I'm going to be trying to do these Mixer stream archives. There's been a couple of other things the last couple of Mondays where I haven't started it, even though I had intended to do so. And, the Mixer archives are going to be a little bit longer, because that's just, when people just hit the record button or the stream button and you play for a couple of hour or two, So, they're not going to be as explanation heavy as the spotlight videos. It's just going to be me playing a game, sometimes chatting about whatever. But yeah, if you want to check those out, feel free to do so. And, some games I may just do a stream for. I haven't really decided part of me is like, well, if I do a lot on a game, I don't necessarily have to do a spotlight video for it, but, in some ways I think that it's worth doing both, especially if it's a game that I really like or that I want to talk about, because I can do a shorter spotlight video and then have someone really watch the full live stream if they want to see a really down and dirty, in-depth look at a game. So, that stuff is still sort of up in the air. But yeah, we got more accessible games coming. We have more iOS stuff. We got more PC. We got more VR. Got a bunch of new games coming pretty soon. Mortal Kombat 11. Looking forward to that next week. Got Rage 2 next month. And who knows what other surprises, actually. There's actually a kind of a Left 4 Dead-esque, it's a third-person game, but World War Z. I've been hearing some surprisingly good buzz about that lately, so I might have to actually check that out at some point. But yeah, thanks to everybody who has subscribed and stuck with the channel for a long time, and to the people who are new, welcome to the channel. We are just at about, 1,527 right now. So yeah, we keep steadily, slowly but surely, we're getting a few more viewers. So cool. That's just kind of a quick channel update. Like I said, there's plenty more to come in, all categories: accessible, low vision, blind, assistive technology. We'll see what we can do. But the last couple of days has seen a couple of major game console announcements. E3 is coming up here in June. Microsoft has announced that they're going to be doing their conference on June 9th. Sony has decided to forego E3 altogether this year. Maybe they'll have their own sort of live stream, kind of like a Nintendo Direct, somewhere around that time frame too. I have no idea. But, it's entirely possible they may not actually do the whole E3 festivities, but they may hold kind of a press event just to go, hey, we're here too. And I think that's largely because we're sort of nearing the end of the current console generation. We're starting to hear things about the upcoming next-gen consoles. And, as cool as that might be, I don't really feel like I'm ready for it. Like, I know there'll be things that I'll like. I know there are things that they'll do that would be cool, but when the 360 PS3 era ended, I was like, really? I think there's still more we could do on that. But it doesn't look like we're going to get any. I guess we don't know what Microsoft is going to do when they're going to release theirs, but I have a funny feeling that we're really not going to see any new consoles, like next generation consoles, in 2019. I think it's going to be 2020 at the minimum. So earlier this morning I saw something where Sony had announced some early information about their PlayStation 5, or at least that's what everyone's calling it right now. Now this does actually sound like a pretty good start to a system. They're talking about, of course, a faster processor. I'm not sure about the processor specifically. They're talking about like some 8-core thing. They're talking about, I don't know how much RAM. But they're saying, we're going to have 8K graphics for gaming. We're going to have ray tracing like the new NVIDIA cards do, solid state hard drives, 3D like 3D audio support. And backwards compatibility with PlayStation 4 titles and even like the PlayStation VR. I don't know if they're going to have a new updated version of PlayStation VR. I would highly suspect that may come just because of some of the, PSVR is actually doing pretty well. PlayStation VR has actually had a fair few exclusives that haven't even come to the Rift or the Vive yet. And it's good, but it's kind of annoying because, VR is this limited kind of market as it is, and so when you get Rift exclusives or PlayStation VR exclusives, it's like, oh man, really? Like, everyone who owns a VR headset should be able to play these things. It's doing well, but some of the technology is a little bit long in the tooth. I mean, even when it came out, the PlayStation Move controllers may not be the most accurate things on the planet from what I've heard. But, there's actually some pretty compelling content on the PlayStation VR. I really, really want Tetris Effect to come to the Rift. Come on, guys, make it happen. Make that come to PC already, pretty please. So yeah, I mean, the PlayStation, the specs sound really good. I do have a potential couple of concerns, and it's going to be one of those wait and see sort of things. I love the fact that they're going SSD because, solid state drives have come down in price where, the next time even when I have a computer built or buy a computer, however I do my next rig, whenever I choose to do so, everything is going to be SSD. At least the vast majority of it is, because, you can get a terabyte SSD for not too bad of a price. You can get, by the time I want to build one, you might be able to get maybe a 2 to 4 terabyte SSD for a fairly decent price. I don't know, because I'm probably not going to upgrade for another year or two yet. But, performance, especially loading times and stuff, you compare, that's why largely right now I play multi-platform games on the PC. I was having this discussion with somebody the other day where they're like, well, you should play more things on the Xbox. I'm like, well, I have the Xbox One, but I have the original. I don't have the S, or I don't have the X, and with an SSD or even my regular spinning hard drives, the specs on my computer are just so much better that the graphic performance, the loading times, they're just way less. I tried Crackdown on the Xbox One, and then I tried Crackdown on the PC, and it's just way faster. So I'm kind of spoiled in that regard. But yeah, I mean, the PlayStation 5, potentially it sounds good. The problem that I have with all this graphic focus, I mean, yeah, okay, games are going to look cool. I've seen a couple of things with ray tracing that, yeah, it looks badass. It looks really, really cool. Even having an old game like Quake 2 or Minecraft, I've seen some examples of those two games, which, generally speaking, aren't the most, graphical showcase games. I mean, hell, Quake 2 is almost 25 years old? But you're looking at that and go, man, I want to play that. That looks really, really cool. But here's the thing. Do we really need 8K? I mean, I know you're pushing technology for the sake of technology because you got to get more people to buy stuff. But here's the thing. Look at your average AAA game. Look at your average AAA game right now. I think we need to really work on quality versus quantity of specs right now, because right now, let's say you have a base Xbox One system or a base PS4, you don't have a PlayStation 4 Pro, or you don't have a Xbox One X. And even if you do, they're talking about 1080p and 4K right now. You really don't. There's so many games that I can think of. Just you look at the reviews, you look at the videos. So many of the current gen games can't even run a game at 1080p at a steady frame rate. I mean, they look good, but the frame rate is all over the place. You get some frame skips, you get some graphical artifacts, you get some whatever. You pretty much, if you want to do 4K or even 1440, if you want to do that kind of a thing, you basically have to have a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X or a PC. And some of those, even the 4K, they run this, checkerboarding thing, or they run these processes where it's sort of 4K, but it's not. It's like up-resed, or I don't know the exact technical specifications for it, but like I said, we have so much trouble in a lot of cases, running a game at 1080p or even 4K at a decent frame rate today. And yet you're going to go, oh, we're going to go 8K and it's going to look fantastic and it's going to run like a dream. And yeah, right. come on, you know that's not going to happen. Yeah, technically we'll probably support 8K, but again, you're going to have the same issues that we have now. And look at this. I mean, how many games, and this is why I can't, unless it's like a first-party Nintendo title, I truly, even if you are like a preservationist, even if you want to have a physical copy because you want to have, that kind of local backup to say, oh, this game isn't available digitally anymore, I can't re-download it. The problem is, largely, I contend the modern physical game is kind of worthless now, because tell me what percentage of a new release, be it AAA, indie, middle tier, how many games, hell, even on the first day of release, when you take that game out of your box and you put the disc in your console, how many games have a giant day one patch? So let's say 10 years down the road, they're not available. I want to take the game out of the box. Well, they don't have the patches online anymore, so I can't even update the game that I have on the disc. Well, essentially, I'm buying potentially a broken game, because hell, I mean, sometimes there'll be minor updates, but a lot of these day one patches are like, oh, well, we didn't quite finish the game before we put it on, sent it to the publishers or whatever for, to burn it onto a disc. The game that you get on disc is probably in a lot of ways can be kind of broken or unfinished. So, like I said, Nintendo, yeah, they patch theirs on occasion, but they're far, far less likely to do so. You know that at least when you get a game on the Switch or the DS, the game is going to work. You don't need to download a 110 gig patch day one just to play the damn thing. So, physical media, as much as I would love to, have it for my collection, for my archive, for game preservation, that's something we're going to have to figure out as we go on, because, like I said, I mean, you order something for Xbox or PlayStation 4, physical media, I don't see the physical media really being all that valuable, because you're going to have to go download a bunch of crap anyway. So, and the other thing with the PlayStation 5, they said, okay, it's going to be backwards compatible with the PlayStation 4. That would be fantastic. But what I'm waiting to hear is it going to be a subset of those? Is it going to be like the Xbox currently? I mean, Microsoft is doing a good job, don't get me wrong, adding backwards compatibility and constantly releasing older titles. But like, is it going to be like the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2 where, oh, we basically put the PlayStation 1 on a chip, and pretty much any PlayStation 1 game that you owned, you could play on the PlayStation 2. Whereas a lot of the backwards compatibility now is done with emulation or something they're similar to it. So is it going to be, yeah, it's they're saying PS4 backwards compatible, but is it only going to be for the marquee games? Is it going to be for the entire PlayStation 4 library? Indie and AAA. That's something I'm going to want to know before I purchase a PS5, because right now we're so late in the PS4 life cycle that I don't really want to buy a PS4 Pro, because A, I don't have a 4K TV, and B, I don't have, I don't have the desire to spend that much money on a current gen console when I know it's almost over. If that Spider-Man Black Friday deal would have been in stock, I had something else going on at the time where I couldn't do it, but if I was able to get that, I would have gotten that new or that other PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 bundle. But, I mean, there are enough games on the PS4 that I want to play. I want to play God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted 4, Until Dawn, I think that's that horror game, the exclusive. there's so many. There's quite a few PlayStation 4 games that are exclusive to that platform. Hell, I bought a PlayStation 3 for The Last of Us. I really want to play Last of Us 2, but I have a sneaking suspicion that might roll over to being a cross-gen or a PS5 game. So part of me is like, I want to wait for the PS5, but I'm kind of curious, like I said, is it going to be a limited backwards compatibility, or is it going to be a really good full-featured one? With Sony, I can't really tell at this point. So there's some questions up in the air, but I like what they're doing. I like, the SSD, the ray tracing. Don't really care about 8K, whatever, but the 3D audio, the backwards compatibility, SSDs. You're doing you're sounding good. So let's see what happens in the next year and a half or so. Well, then Microsoft had their little event today. They talked a little bit about, and we've known sort of about it for a couple of months now at the very least, but it was officially pretty much confirmed a month or two ago. They were saying that there's going to be an all-digital version of the Xbox One S. Not the X, but the S, which is the middle tier. It's better than one that I have, but it's not quite the X. They were going to have an all-digital edition, and they were saying it's probably going to come out in May, and that is true. They announced officially the Xbox One S all-digital edition, and it's going to come out on May 7th. And I got to tell you, Microsoft is doing a lot of amazing things right now, especially as far as game accessibility, Game Pass, games with gold. I mean, they're doing a lot of great things, but this all-digital edition kind of, I think it's too much for what you're getting, really. So your Xbox One S is going to be $300 essentially right now. The all-digital edition, they're going to get rid of the Blu-ray drive. They're going to drop $50, so it's going to be $250 and no physical media, which, okay, that's fine. But only $50 cheaper? In the off chance that I would want to use it as a set-top box, and maybe I do use Blu-ray, maybe I'm a one-console household, and I mean, $50, so you may as well spend the extra $50 and be able to play your Blu-ray movies, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think that discount is really all that. Now, if they would have said, even like $150, that would have been a bit more tempting, because the other specs that they're saying for it, it's basically the exact same as the current Xbox One S. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive. No, there's no SSD in it. 1 terabyte is okay, but, games themselves, good God almighty, they're 100, 200 gig sometimes. Some of these AAA games. And then you add all their DLC and their patches and, God knows, they can get to be pretty darn big. Now, I know you can just plug in an external hard drive, and, hard drives themselves are cheap, so it's not super big a deal. But I was kind of hoping that maybe they would throw in especially if they're going to charge $250 for it, I was hoping that they would at least throw in I could buy a decent laptop for $400 to $500 that has a 250 SSD drive in it, and it's a full Windows 10 computer. Decent machines, too, these Acers that I've been working with at work. So, for $250, I was kind of hoping that they would maybe throw in an SSD, or maybe even like a combo drive or something, just to get some extra zip out of it. You do get 3 games with it. You get Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, and Forza Horizon 3. But honestly, it's not bad. But if you, and then you get there's a deal they're announcing where if you buy one of these new all digital machines, you basically get 3 months of Game Pass for $1. And on Game Pass, you can basically get all these games for free. I mean, you're paying your, I forget what Game Pass costs a month. Was it like $10 a month or something like that? You're getting those anyway. So whether you pay for Game Pass or not, you're going to have access to these 3 games, which is good. But if you do choose, you're going to have to be either a Game Pass subscriber and or buy your games all digitally anyway. So if you subscribe to Game Pass, you're basically going to get those 3 games anyway. I'm not saying it's a bad console. I just think that it's maybe priced a little bit high for what it is. All you're really doing is taking out the Blu-ray drive and you're only dropping $50. I mean, Blu-ray are cheap. Blu-ray drives are cheap, I guess now, but I don't know. I saw that and I wasn't super impressed. I like the idea of a digital, especially with the way, Microsoft is going to be looking into their game streaming thing eventually, just like Google's going to be doing. You got Game Pass. You've got all your games digitally now anyway. So it's a good thing to do, but I don't know. If it was the One X with no optical drive, then for $250, then I would damn near even be tempted to get one of those. But the S, I don't know. For some reason, it's just not striking me as super exciting. So those are the 2 major announcements. We got a little Sony, we got a little Microsoft. Oh, and then a little tidbit that I heard about via Twitter that I have to look at. Apparently, Nintendo released a Switch firmware update, and if you double tap the home button, apparently there's sort of a zoom feature now, and I don't know if you can zoom in and out or if it's just like one zoom level, but apparently at least there's some sort of a zoom thing. So my guess is it's not going to be anything substantial, but at least the fact that they're toying with the idea of maybe making things a little bit easier to see. And I don't know if that applies to just like the dashboard and the shop, or does that apply anywhere in game? That's something that I will have to download this firmware update and do a little experimentation with and get back to you guys on. But they have, I saw that post on Twitter and it caught my attention. So like I said, there's so many things I want to get to. I had a long weekend. I had like a 4-day weekend this weekend, and I still didn't get to do a lot of what I wanted to accomplish. I got a lot done, but I still haven't gotten to play Sekiro. I did play a little bit of Dangerous Driving, which I really, really want to like, but either I suck horribly or they do not allow for any errors whatsoever from the beginning of the game, because I can't even get third keep getting 4th or worse on the first race, and everything is gated in that game. Like you have to do everything sequentially, so you can't just pick a track or pick a mode. You just have to seemingly unlock one thing at a time. So here's hoping I get better, or the game offers some something, difficulty options, or or maybe patching in a way like, oh, I just want to do races or road rage events or whatever. So hopefully I'll be able to cover that on the channel at some point, because it was one that I was really sort of looking forward to, kind of a spiritual successor to Burnout 3 and Revenge, and you know how much I love those. So we got that, we've got Sekiro, we've got Mortal Kombat, Rage. I'm going to maybe toy with this Elder Scrolls nonsense a little bit more, but my patience is sort of waning on that one. But yeah, lots of stuff, probably some other stuff that's unexpected. But yeah, Wednesdays, Saturdays, possibly some Mixer Mondays, maybe some other stuff thrown in for good measure. We got E3 coming up in June. You may also be able to, just a small hint, you may be able to hear me talk about my GA Conf experience on a future podcast. So stay tuned to my Twitter feed for that. And with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, mixer.com/BGFH. If you liked it, subscribe and share the channel. If you are a game developer who is interested in accessibility, has any questions, would like to test, if you have some pre-release code, me offer some pre-release code if you want me to kind of take a look at it and, comment on some of the accessibility or, assist with some of that stuff, do let me know. You can contact me via YouTube or Twitter or email. I have updated my about page on YouTube, so if you need my email address, it's, jessean1@gmail.com. Definitely reach out, and I'll be happy to do what I can. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Follow me everywhere on the usual places, and until next time, I will chat with you guys again in the next video. Later.